this one. Let's see how it goes through. No Yasuo allowed for Caps, no Ezreal for Reckless.
And I mean, with elimination on the line, would you really have it any other way than NA versus EU, right?
It's fantastic.
These are two of the teams that are fighting, for that fourth spot. Obviously, Fnatic has had a much better tournament, is 2 games ahead, but if the dream run were to occur, it has to start here against Fnatic.
Very, very true. And the Yasuo pick, of course, been huge for Caps during the tournament. And it is one of those picks, just like an Aurelion Sol, that can be really annoying to deal with in a pick and ban phase, and you can often feel, okay, maybe we just remove it early on, and then you get a small advantage in that regard for Fnatic, because Caps has so many other things he can still play. Now, I want to see if Zyra Khan is going to be a thing. There's Morgana ban against Ole, of course, because he's actually looked very good on that champion. Rakan is still available and would then otherwise be the ban here, but they actually leave it. Fnatic have shown they are fine giving Zyra Khan and play like Braum against it. Let's see if Team Liquid wants it.
Probably if they're going jungle, it's just going to be Trundle first. Smithy really does not play Olaf, or has certainly not shown it very often, and that is actually very surprising. I know, yeah, Trundle is banned, but still, like
he wanted a
Olaf,
Trundle,
I mean,
but he didn't get it.
He didn't play Olaf really at all throughout the regular season in North America, and he has played it once here at the tournament, but certainly still surprised to see it as a first pick.
This is big, though, for mainly Hylissang. The Zyra Khan combo has been great during the regular season when Fnatic gets played, because Hylissang, he is the kind of support that is fantastic if he's on a playmaker and if his team is already doing well and they're setting up for more picks, more engages. He can do that on the Rakan. Zyra pick, of course, is a good pick for Reckless as well. So I want to see what Team Liquid will answer with, because the Morgana that was the answer before, together with Caitlyn, is of course banned away.
So Broxah for the second time of the day on an early game jungler. It's been a lot of Trundle and Skarner up until today. Olaf for the morning, and now on this Graves. Jhin is going to be where Team Liquid live or die, and for everyone making fun of it, he was so good with it in the playoffs. Didn't look so good earlier in the tournament, but back on the champion here.
I mean, he was 5-0 in the NALCS audit with something like a 54 KDA. It's certainly one of his best champions, but this is something that has been a big point of contention for a lot of people talking, the analysts, talking about how they may just need a range support to be able to have bot lane dominance. And we do see a Tahm Kench, and it's not actually Zyra Khan. This could be the Rakan mid. I actually think there's a chance that we might get to see Rakan mid here. We have been seeing it through some pros in solo queue before the tournament, and a lot of people have been talking about it. I know Perks is pretty vocal and has been one of the guys playing it a lot, but a lot of pros were doing it, and it would seem very strange to actually break up the Zyra Rakan duo for this Rakan Sivir, and this could mean we're getting some sort of a flex, perhaps to a range support to bully the Tahm Kench and putting the Rakan mid, but a lot remains to be seen.
Yeah, could also be that Reckless and Hylissang do not want to play Zyra Khan against Jhin Tahm Kench, but again, that would be a bit surprising to me, and instead they grab the Sivir, which has been a go-to choice for Reckless.
And we do know that these guys were scrim partners, right? So, when you see the Rakan coming out and then you see this answer here from Team Liquid, this could have been something that Fnatic scrimmed against and said, hey, that didn't go well for us in scrims. Let's pivot over to something here like the Sivir, who can have wave pressure and who can push you in and really scale up, as Reckless loves to do.
I kind of want to see an Ornn ban from Team Liquid. I think if you are giving that over for free, that's, it's not really necessary. Camille is still here for Whippo, and he said in his interview earlier that a lot of the teams here at MSI, when they played tanks top, will kind of abandon the side lanes, and that's where the Camille pick was so huge, because Camille can destroy turrets so easily with her Q, so she becomes then the go-to split push choice. But in this one, he's going back to the Sion, just like he used last time.
But it's still a double flex pick as well. Sion mid is like totally a reasonable champion as well, so I really do like how Fnatic have set up for their last pick. They've got a lot of moving parts. Like, heck, I've even seen Sion support for what that's worth, unlikely as it may be, and I want to see if they find some crazy good matchups as a result of these.
I definitely am expecting it to be Sion top, though, because that was, to me, the kind of ban that was conspicuously missing here when you looked up at the top lane for the tanks that Bobo had been playing. And also something lacking from Team Liquid's comp is engage. I do think that having the Malzahar as a way to kind of go the flash ulti can be pretty strong, and this is a pick that, when I was talking with a lot of people earlier today, this is something I wanted to see from Pobelter. You need to see, the top lane tank. You want to see the kind of control mage here from Pobelter. Keep him out of the side lanes, give, a more kind of straightforward path to victory.
Let's see, for Caps here is a man who plays basically everything in the mid lane, and whenever you blind pick against him, he probably has some wonderful counter ready. In this one here, it could still be the Rakan mid lane, and then Karma down for the bot lane. It is an option for them, otherwise they just put Karma mid, of course. Yep. And it actually becomes a composition built a lot around Reckless, and they did focus on that back in Europe. It's not been the main focus for Fnatic doing MSI group stages, where Caps has been the big carry.
And I think even if they were considering having that Rakan mid, when you see the Malzahar locked in, I think you kind of have to abandon ship on that. That would be, an incredibly hard matchup, I do think, for kind of a playmaker like Rakan. But having the Karma is going to give you push there. There's a lot of protection now for Reckless. You have a double AD carry, very easy to pick up things like an Ardent Sensor, like an Athene's, and really kind of be this more supportive pushing mid. You're playing into a Malzahar where Banner is going to be very effective. So certainly a strong team fighting comp here, you have to say, from Fnatic.
Yeah, but we also have to say that they made some interesting choices, and maybe some choices people can criticize after the game in this pick and ban phase here. They had the option of running Zyra Rakan. They took Sivir instead. They've had the option to counter pick for Caps in the mid lane, the star player on this team during this tournament, and they end up putting him on a more supportive choice and putting more focus on Reckless specifically. So they could have gone a completely different way in this draft, but they didn't.
Certainly true, but we also have to remember how Fnatic looked on day one versus when they have been playing Comfort in the following days. Sivir is certainly Comfort for Reckless, and Jhin, despite the fact that it's not been as successful, has not been getting the wins for TL, is definite Comfort pick for Doublelift, and he has performed well on it, putting out huge damage numbers in losses.
This is the hype game of the evening. North America up against Elimination, battling Europe, who with a win secure their spot in the knockout stage. Pretty sure we're in Germany here, in Europe, chanting for Fnatic here. 4-3 the current record, could go to 5-3 and lock in that spot.
And that lower pip right there showed a sign saying NA. Actually, there were signs left to that saying EU greater than NA. We just only got the NA sign in it.
Confirmed. It was just an NA fan. There. Lots of support for them.
Yeah, this one knocked into the air, but Ole is actually a flash auto W from getting a kill, but this Ignite is on, and they might have the damage output. He's going to drop first blood for Pobelter.
And Pobelter getting that is actually really big. He could go back and get his tier straight up. Starting with the tier on Malzahar is an insane start, because really, the early levels until you get that first base are where you struggle with mana most. So this is going to help him so much in the laning phase.
And it's another game now where we have action level 1. We have important things happening for the rest of the game. Caps is still in the lane here. Pobelter stayed as well. Yep. But yeah, Hylissang went down, did not use a summoner, only Reckless used his heal.
It's also worth pointing out, some of the choices here for Fnatic. You can see Airy here for Hylissang, Airy here for Caps, no summoner spellbook on either. That, to me, speaks more of a focus on lane pressure, on having more of an advantage, poking out your opponent and winning those lanes. And when you are giving up a kill, you lose your heal, and these sorts of things can really kind of affect that and perhaps put you on the back foot.
Speaking of being on the back foot, of course, Ole is summonerless. Ooh, Broxah looking at this blue buff. If he was watching really closely, he'd know Olaf was there, but... Okay, 540, 450 gets the E-Smite, and Smithy walks away with his second camp.
Oh, so Broxah doesn't actually get the blue buff here. Smithy gets to smite away. There is a Grump he can take on this top side if you want to counter jungle at least a little bit, but Smithy, he's just straight down to the bottom side, of course.
And it is pretty important to, again, note, Pobelter got his back interrupted and never actually decided to go back to base, so not starting, with that tier early on. He could elect to just kind of skip it and go straight for the Lost Chapter, and and trying to go towards something like a Ludens. I have seen that, though I do prefer the tier build and the extra safety that is going to give someone like a Malzahar.
Well, Cannon minions get dematerialized, no problem. Of course, they are worth more gold in this patch, and it slightly raises the stakes of getting a dematerializer as an item. Bot lane shove looks like it is going the way of Team Liquid, and right now with Graves having been spotted topside on that Gromp steal, they can feel safe for a few more seconds, but it's time for Broxah to head down to this blue buff, and Ole's going to find him.
He lost a lot of time by going into that blue buff area and not actually secure it. Still only level 2, will get 3 here on the Wolf Camp, but Smithy, as we talked about, he just went straight down to his bottom side. He's like, yeah, I don't care, I got my buff. I can now kill everything on this one side of the map, and then he can look to do something now.
And Smithy is a guy who has been a strength for Team Liquid and who has been very patient, very measured. When he is pressured in the jungle, kind of goes back and takes the minimum. And
gets the smite, but red buff is on. This could be very dangerous for the Olaf. The other half of the Q is not going to land, so he gets out.
Second time the Broxah is moving down, but Smithy just managed to get the small objective before stepping away. So advantage to Team Liquid's jungler. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, we did see double lift and Ole pushing early, and that Jhin pick, again, it is such an interesting one because on day one we had 3 of them. 2 from Team Liquid, 1 from Fnatic. All games, losses. Jhin did actually manage to deal a lot of damage, as you highlighted before as ill, but did not manage to secure wins, and then teams stepped away from it. Like, we don't want to play more Jhin. And the elimination game, and Jhin is back.
It's always interesting because, a lot of people do fall into the trap of the results-based analysis of looking and seeing, oh, well, Jhin didn't work, they shouldn't have picked it. But, there were so many other issues for Fnatic, for Team Liquid in those early days. And Smithy up here on the top side.
That's already flashed down. He's going to pick up the axe and get the slows. This could be a kill. Whipple does not have any way out. The silence, the axe, he gets the shield and doesn't get the trade. Smithy got a flash out for this one. Kill in the top lane for Team Liquid.
Nicely done from Team Liquid just to move up to the top side. Smithy absorbing all that pressure, gets a kill, but it is 2 flashes expended, so at least Whippo made it expensive.
Oh, straight TP back to the lane. Smithy was still on the top side, but did not go for gank number 2 because we had Impact actually going back to base. But great start from Team Liquid's jungler. Again, he's just been winning out on these small little trades here, and then he gets a kill in the top lane as well. Fnatic almost 1,000 gold down. Broxah is coming again, but he's spotted.
And he may not realize he was, because he actually pinked there in that brush, and that ward was just out of range. A pretty atypical spot for Smithy to have dropped it. So Team Liquid is aware of where he is, and you can see them pinging over onto the Grom, knowing he's in that area. So look for Impact to play it a bit more defensively.
And that is 2 camps now that Brox has stolen away. It's actually Gromp both times, but because he hasn't cleared his own jungle so faithfully, he's not actually up camps on Smithy, who had done Krugs, for example. We watch that fight again on the top side.
Yeah, so Whippo knows, as he spots the Olaf here, he needs to flash the knock-up. Impact just hiding in the brush, waiting for as long as he needed to, and of course, the moment the flash is gone, TL, they know they can rush it down, and while there is a small chance at the end that Whippo maybe can land some CC, Smithy just instantly flashes away, and now he's looking for more. It is the Ocean Drake.
Was a little bit close, though, you have to say. If Whippo lands that knock-up on Smithy, it could be a counter kill, but he goes down before the channel actually completes, so pretty well played by Whippo, about as well as you could be, and does make them pay the maximum.
So Fnatic, of course, losing support level 1, grabbing Sivir as well in the draft, have been pushed in bot lane all the time. That sets up an early objective for Team Liquid. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it is Caps rushing QSS, and that's kind of one of the things also about Malzahar and why he can be such a good pick for PoBuilder, because he just gives you so much by just being Malzahar that can just straight ult the person, and you need the QSS to get out of it. And it's one of those champions where, just like we saw from Samsung at Worlds with Crown, if your mid lane is not your main carry, you can grab a Malzahar and you just always have engaged, you have pick potential from this one champion without needing PoBuilder to win the game for you. So it is such a huge pick for someone like him.
I definitely agree on that, but I do really like the early QSS buy, because when you're looking for Smithy, what is the easiest lane for him to actually attack? It would be that mid lane. You have, the Malzahar ultimate coming through on a Karma, and you run him down with an Olaf. That is pretty free. So, grabbing that QSS is preventing some of those options, and we'll have to see Smithy get a little bit more creative, because, besides an Olaf just charging at you and a Jhin ultimate opening up, the Malzahar ult is really the main form of engage here for Team Liquid.
And I feel like this should also stop Caps from going banner. If you ever go QSS and banner of command, you might actually make yourself a little bit too weak, but I want to see what he goes for as the first fully completed item. PoBuilder is just keeping his dematerializer stacks in case a banner does show up in that mid lane, but he should be able to deal with it. So Caps being set a little bit behind because he simply had to rush QSS.
Seems like he's mostly saving them for cannons. Malzahar has no issues wave clearing. He just kind of infinitely knocks down everything. Nice deny, by the way. Hillsong prevented the deadly flourish from killing a cannon, so even though it looked kind of silly, he denied like 55 gold with that.
And with PoBuilder having gotten that first blood, having gotten his base, they're actually going topside, though onto Impact.
This could be hard for Cho'Gath. Slow by the ultimate. Here comes the first teleport in as PoBuilder wants to join. Ole not 6, and Just, yeah, that's enough to deny it.
Good TP, especially, you know, when you do cancel that and you have Spellbook, it's not that long of a cooldown. So, you know, that Summoner spell saves his top laner's life, pushes them back. But, you know, now that he has his double mana items, he has Lost Chapter, he has his tier. This is the part where you can essentially just infinitely wave clear as a Malzahar, and you become very hard to kind of punish in a laning phase.
Right now, Impact's laning phase getting a little bit punished. Does grab the Scuttle, that's nice, and inflates his CS numbers and keeps some vision, but in the 1v2 he lost his control ward and stuck under turret.
And one thing we need to look for a little bit later in the game between Whippo and Impact is how often can Whippo use the Sign ult to actually go mid lane. He did that the last time we had TL versus Fnatic when he actually was down in CS. Impact on a Cho'Gath was doing fine in lane, but then Whippo just kept leaving. And he ganked mid lane, he got a few kills for caps. He can look to do the same here with the Sign ulti, and the communication needs to be on point. It wasn't last time for Team Liquid, it needs to be this time.
It's looking like TL wants to go for this blue buff, though. Raid on spawn, 4 members collapse. They're going to try to just take that away and, you know, give a second blue buff perhaps over here to Bobelter. Actually just deciding to give it to Smithy since Bobelter is still running.
Yeah, he's got a blue, it's still on for about 1 minute, and honestly with tier plus Lost Chapter, your mana is essentially infinite. So, gonna give more clear speed and some XP and gold to McSmithy. Can't really argue with that one too much here.
It's just been a great start from Team Liquid, mainly around Xmithy on this Olaf here. Fnatic getting pushed in, especially in the bottom lane. Reckless, not been able to get an early BF, but we know he loves to get his tier 2 boots anyway. Just add even more, a faster wave clear for himself. But Fnatic's Sivir needs 3 items before she really becomes a carry, and the composition is built around Reckless.
The thing is, does Team Liquid really have the comp to be able to push the pace of the game, right? You know, this is one of those things where if you have a lower level of engage, it becomes difficult to push an advantage, and that's where they're going to have to go to objectives and try to actually, you know, use this Cho'Gath and the Feast to really force Fnatic to come to them and find fights that way.
We are in a timing spot right now for Ole. His quest is complete, and he's level 6 on this Tahm Kench, so it is now time for him to make a choice, and something that he was so good at domestically. Yes, he's had a weak MSI, but finding the aggro plays, his Malzahar, or Morgana, Tahm Kench, these aggressive playmaking supports were what he made his name on, and it's now time for him to make that choice.
And I also think with the Malzahar pick, you do have the tools to really snowball the game, because once you get ahead, the flash ulti should almost always guarantee you a kill, unless it's on caps because of the QSS. So Team Liquid have enough tools to force plays on Fnatic, and as you highlight with Cho'Gath, eventually go to Baron and play around the objective.
Really going to be pushed in. Bobelter gets that one first, but only a few seconds, so Caps can do that himself. Impact still shoving in top, but this time does have his teleport and flashback available. Should be safe.
We have a second Ocean Drake also spawning. The Team Liquid can control on the bottom side. That is so huge, especially for the tank v tank matchup. We've had on the EU4 podcast a few times some top laners explaining how a lane can be fine and then an Ocean Drake suddenly spawns and dies. And now the one top laner with the Ocean Drake gets such a huge sustain advantage, especially on the mana side, that he can just start pushing and pushing and you can't really match it. See what happens here, bot lane fight.
For it, this could be a 3v2. Nice charm and jump away. Hylissang plays that one really well for the disengage. Couple ults down from Fnatic, though.
Yeah, actually a pretty good ult there from Ole. There wasn't really much chance of them getting kills, as Doublelift wasn't even in lane, but that alone forces the Reckless ult, the Hylissang ult, so, you know, a decent roam. And I'm going to be very interested to see when and if Reckless actually picks up a QSS, because it was kind of conspicuously missing in their game yesterday. The Tristana game against RNG, you know, did end up getting kind of punished pretty heavily for that by Xiao, who was able to catch him.
Now, that trade of ultimates, of course, very good for a Drake take as well. It's a non-combat ultimate traded for 2 in-combat ultimates, and with the threat of Olaf still being here without some of the tools available now, Cobalt in the mid side has to watch out for Caps. The root is in, trades back a silence though. Hylissang feeding nearby again, doesn't have the charm, but could have enough damage, and CC flashes in for the shield, and gonna not quite get the knockup as Bobelter flashes away. Again, a trade of summoners as first turret falls down to the bot lane.
Hylissang knew that he couldn't get to Pole Builder, just had to force a summoner, but the fact that it's Jhin Tahm Kench coming in as an early rotation for Team Liquid is winning this bot lane, securing that turret is so huge, because now they get that second Ocean Drake we just talked about before here. Big value suddenly for Impact in the top lane, and the entire team is benefiting from what Xmithy did in the early game, and of course the Jhin Tahm Kench.
It's very nicely done. Broxah, though, getting, you know, the best of a bad world, perhaps. He does go up to the top side. He does take the Rift Herald, knowing they can't actually contest on the bottom side of the map. And the question for me becomes, you know, where does Doublelift go now? And the answer looks like they're going to swap it up to top. He has his Essence Reaver and Swifty Boots already completed, so this isn't, you know, that rapid fire rush. It's more of a kind of heavy investment into AD, which I potentially, do prefer. We'll see how it's going to work out.
And on the other side, Reckless went back again, but he only had 1,000 gold. So he's actually not able to get that BF sword he so desperately wants. He is very far behind right now. Item-wise.
Yeah, of course. And of course, Sivir not a Rage Blade champion, so Double Dagger doesn't build into something you want to buy right away. It's a Zeal, then towards Rapid Fire, and it's, of course, just pieces of things right now. He's hoping to build Mr. Potato Head by the end of it all, but right now it's all kind of spread apart. Gonna wave from the top side, though. Right now, 2,500 gold lead for Team Liquid. Again, a must-win game for the squad, and so far looking good on this one. One more day to play afterwards.
We can see again, Pobelter actually, instead of completing, his tier item, he is going straight to a Shirelli, as we saw Warzone, I believe, do this earlier. And this is, more emphasis on the engage. And they're looking to corral the bottom lane here. 4-man top coming in for Team Liquid, trying to, at the very least, push them back, and they can just take the turret.
Yeah, again, it's a good move. Constantly just going for the outer turret around double F. This is how they were successful in the playoffs, and they're doing it now here in the elimination game. Fnatic are just sitting so far back on the map, they can't really attack anywhere because they don't have kill pressure in any of their lanes, with the Karma mid lane and of course the Sivir pick.
Broxah so far, all he's secured for the team is that one Rift Herald pickup, which he's got in inventory and at some point can summon it and find some turrets, but has not found gank success, not much of it anyway. A canceled TV from Pobelter, that's been it. And no real jungle invades either, so early game definitely has gone the way of Team Liquid.
Yeah, and the only lane Broxah could really try and attack would be Impact specifically, but that still takes a long time to actually kill him, because he can't go mid right now. They don't have any control, and you can never play around the Jhin because it's so much stronger than the Sivir with the items, and Team Liquid, they don't stop.
Chain of crowd control, here comes Kurt, looking for damage on the front side, shields come in, they're going to stay safe, but Fnatic getting pushed back in this turret. Taking down to about 1/5 HP. Wafer finally comes through for Fnatic.
And TL are just moving around the map, pressuring these turrets so incredibly well. They don't want to give Reckless time to be sitting in those side lanes, to be farming the waves into re-reaching, the critical 3 items that you had pointed out. But
oh, they're far away at the moment.
Yeah, I will say though, this pink ward, in the jungle of Team Liquid has got a ridiculous amount of value. That has been there almost the entire game, and well,
gets replaced.
Cast Curse.
Actually, kind of surprised that they decided to do that, as it has just been sitting there and tracking Smithy on the bottom side of the map for so long, and that does give you a lot of safety in the bottom.
Yeah, it was just replaced with the control wall over the wall here when the Rift Hell was being spawned. I think just to maybe double check if someone could interrupt Broxah. Let's see what happens around mid, because Pobelter, he's looking for it. No flash though. Next time when that flash is ready, he has 4 targets he can aim for, only caps with the QSS.
I'd love to see Pobelter just grab Lucidity Boots, especially in combination with the Summoner's Spellbook. Reducing the cooldown on those Summoners is so big. A lot of Malzahars love to go into Ghost, Flash, Lucidity with Summoner Spell CDR, Spellbook with Summoner Spell CDR. Allows you to get those engages alongside Shirelius so often, and when you are the main form, you really need to kind of have that up and available.
See all that gank pressure down towards double. If this was what the analyst was talking about, maybe not a range support for them, but bot lane pressure has been very good. Reckless has been under turret the entire time, and that win condition so far working well. And despite a farm lead for Caps, Karma's not that same individual playmaker. There's a point where he said maybe Caps is the best mid laner at MSI. We saw his Yasuo, his Vladimir looked so good. He is not on that same kind of champion here.
And despite the fact that this is not that range sport that a lot of people did kind of want to see out of TL, it's Pobelter on something that makes a lot more sense for him and how he is performing in this tournament. Take him off a champion that needs to be performing in the side lanes where he has been getting caught out time and time again, and put him on something that has wave clear, that is safe, that is going to be able to contribute in the team fights, and is relatively difficult to actually punish.
The only non-comfort pick in the TL draft was the Olaf, just because we haven't seen it played a lot by Xmithy, but he's had plenty of time, of course, to play it in scrims. Everything else is exactly what you want for this Team Liquid team. The pure tank top lane, a bot lane where Double F and Ollie can play forward, and of course, as we highlighted so many times, the Malzahar for Pobelter. It's Fnatic who's kind of changing it up compared to their MSI meta. The games they found success with where it was around Caps, just not in this case, and they accept that they have to wait for Reckless.
Some puts in a shield, walks back out, gets slow, but now maybe a re-engage towards Xmithy. Not quite going to find anything more there, but damage comes across.
Yeah, they don't really have the 3-man group to re-engage. Sivir is very weak at this point in the game. Caps had to go for early QSS on his side. So there's not a lot of damage coming out of Fnatic, and it's going to be just stalling with Sivir's wave clear for as long as possible. It's really on Pobelter and Team Liquid to force the kill. If he gets a flash in, he should be able to secure one.
And while they can look to force that, they also are going to be happy to play around these neutral objectives, right? The Infernal is coming up in 30 minutes. They've already gotten 2 dragons, and as you approach that 30 or 20-minute mark and Baron comes up, that becomes another objective you can look for as well. But it's going to be Fnatic just having to back off, and the last of the outers has been cracked pre-20 minutes.
3 turrets to 0. Fnatic have only grabbed the Rift Herald so far this game. No kills, no Drakes, and now an Infernal is up. Teal, of course, at full resources, courtesy of Double Ocean. Will Fnatic even try? This is one of those Drakes you normally see contested, and will not happen. This one's going to go over to Liquid. 3rd straight major objective.
And to make it even better, if you look at the minimap, you will notice that in the top lane, the wave was pushed all the way down to that tier 2 turret. So Fnatic can't even trade. They can't say, okay, you go bot side for Infernal Drake, we grab your top turret and we will get something. No, because that was set up in advance, Fnatic will get absolutely nothing on the map. TL can get mid turret, grab a Drake, and then they can, funny enough, go top and take that big wave that Caps is currently pushing down towards them and just say, thank you. We get all the farm, we get all the objectives, and you get nothing.
And while Impact has not really been successful on carries in recent times, his Gangplank game kind of standing out like a bit of a sore thumb here at MSI did not work out. He can manage waves, he can play side lanes very effectively on tech. Shen has been very good on, whether he's playing a Sion or an Orin or a Cho'Gath, he understands how to manipulate the minion waves, he understands how to control that wave priority, and he is very good in those situations where he's not easy to pick off, and this is one of them on the Cho'Gath.
Looking to pick him off here. 3 coming out of the bot lane. Whippo starts it out with the ultimate. Brox is here with a red buff, and Impact can only maybe chomp a minion. Does not dodge the knockup. Here comes more. That's going to be a kill. The first on the board for Fnatic. Maybe a sign of good things to come.
And while this happened, Caps died top lane because Ole just ulted in with the Tahm Kench, and Pole Builder was already there. So the secure kill for Team Liquid on top lane. Fnatic will get 1 bot, and they're now trading a tier 1 for a tier 2 turret.
And Impact is not thinking he can get out there. A little bit surprised to not see him actually try to run down and perhaps retreat back to that turret. Maybe just making the call that, hey, even if I flash, I'm still going to get flash followed and die, and that may not be worth it. So they're getting the tier 2 top. They're trying to pressure the tier 2 mid. And meanwhile, it is Whippo still pushing on that bottom side and trying to get some objectives and some gold back here from Fnatic.
That is a lot of damage. So this is taking quite a bit here. Yeah, as the wave is here, finally Cho'Gath respawns and Impact comes to defend, but not long for the world is this turret. If Whippo really wants to stay, depends how much he thinks he can get punished. Looks like he will respect a possible roam.
He steps away. Baron is alive now. Team Liquid have taken on all the outer turrets. They can set up full vision control around it, and then because they have that Cho'Gath feast, it gets even harder for Proxy to try and steal it. And it's just a play. Top lane, Ole comes in. Caps is trying his best to slow push this wave out, but doesn't realize that Tahm Kench ulti is ready to be fired.
And that is one where he probably should have saved his flash. I think there was actually no chance of getting out of that one. And this, Impact, I guess he is really slowed down by the Glacial Augment, so just decides to hold on. But Pobelter's looking for Hillsang.
Hillsang Bolter does have ultimate flashes in. He's going to find that one. Broxy can show up a little bit. It's not going to be enough. A solo kill for Pobelter, popping the 2 summoners. He gets that one picked off.
We get Ghost. We have Shurelius as well. You cannot run away from this Malzahar. He will get to you and lock you down. Team Liquid are still looking at this Fnatic comp and saying, we are not really afraid of your damage. Your AD carry is only sitting on an almost completed Zeal item, so we still have plenty of time of just forcing plays. They're actually finding success up in the top lane now, getting a bunch of kills. Down bot lane, Whippo needs to run away because they have lost mid lane control.
Yeah, they're losing that pressure, and TL trying to get damage down on the turret constantly. We have to remember how good Malzahar Voidlings are at both tanking up Baron damage and taking that Baron, how good Cho'Gath is at securing that as well, and that is something that is a very real possibility if Fnatic loses control of vision in the Baron area. So they are going to have to not only just clear these waves, they need to find times to get out and get that vision.
No, they might not have that opening right now as mid lane's being pushed across. Caps wants to go around the backside, though Pobelter pops. Shurelius is not going to be rooted. Caps can't chase through too easily. Steps forward to get away from the silence. He's still mechanically incredible despite that 0-1-0 scoreline. Hoping for that big team fight. Reckless is at 2 completed items. You still want to hit a 3rd on Sivir. He's got a long way to go until that happens.
Fnatic are just hoping that Team Liquid do not get Baron. That's literally the only thing that they can still use to just clear the waves. If the Baron buff suddenly shows up, they can't really stop TL from getting the entire base. And TL are pushing in towards this turret here.
We saw Impact happily take the turret damage. One more shot from Dope, but has to respect this counter engage though. If he took one more turret shot, that could have been dangerous. He flash, or sorry, Summoner heals and Sivir ult might mean the chase. Can they get in? Caps really wants to just keep self-hasting, finding a Q, not going to get a good target. Devil just regens up, but now he's low for this team fight.
Yeah. Oh, that's a knock-up.
Oh, almost Matilda's time, but now Kirk calls in. They're going to look for that and not going to land any bullets. Out he goes.
Yeah, well defended there by Fnatic, but not going to get too much back, and the mid lane tier 2 is still incredibly low, but you have Bwipo on the bottom side pushing up, just going straight for those turrets, and Impact has to get down there, but it could be the turret just straight up going down.
Well, there's the banner. Impact, of course, can use the feast if he wants to, but yeah, the turret is low. Fnatic trying to get whatever gold they can. Meanwhile, the rest of the map, it is just a reset from Doublelift and the rest of the team, so still kind of waiting for TL to decide if they want to fully commit to Baron. They can stop by the Infernal first, take another Drake. That is super beneficial when you have a Jhin.
And I think they don't really have to force it as long as they're still getting objectives, right? And they are so close to knocking down that mid lane tier 2. There is the Infernal coming up very soon, and you just don't want to see them stalling out.
Exactly. I think it's fine to obviously not go for it just when it spawns here, as long as they start playing around it after this Infernal. Because you don't want to give Reckless the chance of getting freely to his third item, and then suddenly Fnatic's composition can actually do something. Because that was kind of the entire gamble I think Fnatic made in the draft. Removed a lot of potential playmaking by not taking a Zyrakan, and again by putting caps on a Karma, so they accepted it was going to be a stalling game on their side, but they got pressured so hard in that bot lane. It has cost them all these turrets, and now it's just about stalling for Baron.
And with those 3 Quicksilver Sashes in their top 3 players, they could keep stalling mid lane. Certain to fall. Quick shot comes through there, and the gold lead up now to 5.4 thousand gold. But Fnatic will keep trying to scale, and we know Broxah has been so good with smite steals that it might make Liquid have to play really defensively and consider long and hard before they go for Baron.
It's definitely tough, though, because Smithy has been on point as well, and there is a feast, right? Which makes it very difficult for Broxah to pull that off. And at that point, it becomes more of a Team Liquid mistake than a great play from Broxah with that massive advantage that Smite gives you. And Fnatic are just trying to go straight over to Baron and pressure this.
It's just vision. They know if they put down as many wards as possible, there's a chance some of the control wards from TL will actually miss it. Otherwise, they know they also can't start it. So hoping that by putting down vision, it stalls Team Liquid. There is that one pesky ward outside the Baron pit we talked about last game. Team Liquid should know that it is a possibility and just either place a control ward outside or sweep before going for the Baron itself, because that is the one ward Fnatic are using to see if anything is happening.
And there are 3 control wards in inventory for Team Liquid. Xmithie, well, now down to 2 as one of them gets popped down by Poe Belter, but Xmithie and Ole have the chance to play for vision control, and now it's all going to be about that Baron setup. Sieging for tier 2 turret number 6 is going to be pretty hard, so vision control, name of the game now.
And as we have this little reset, let's just remind everyone, Team Liquid needs to win this game if they want to have a chance of advancing to playoffs. If Fnatic win, they will lock their spot in the semi-final. If Fnatic lose, however, they have to get some wins tomorrow. They play EVOS, so they have a high chance against them since they're sitting at 1-7, but there is no easy wins in this tournament.
And the other game is Kingzone, right? Which is
easy
very
win.
frightening for Fnatic. Yeah, already has shown easy win. And another thing I always kind of like to talk about it and look at, when you do have a game with a lot of Infernals, is the Jhin, who has actually so much bonus AD from that because through his passive, through his kit, he gets a tremendous amount of attack damage, and that is being multiplied very, very heavily. Already over 500 AD.
Reckless is on 187 AD on his side.
Not as much as 500.
Not as much as 500.
But he does have a QSS.
True. Yeah, that sadly for him delays that second seal item he really needed to be a big carry. So it is of course an item you need against the Malzahar, but it also delays your build.
It's the tax, right? There's 4 QSS that have been purchased up, and really the only target now is Hylissang. And if the Rakan goes in, you can get ultimated up and focus down, but that's not always enough to win a team fight if you're spending too many resources on someone like the Rakan.
All right, well, Predator Pop looking for maybe an opening is the Olaf. And Xmithie not yet going to find an Axe target. We do have a split push on the bottom side of the map. Again, it's kind of this 4-1 here where Impact and Bwipo spread time. And now without wards at all, Liquid can look at this tasty Baron.
I think this is their time to actually look at it, as they have waves pushed up on either side. They're trying to start up a 2-man play here and kind of zone for that around the mid lane. And Blue Trinket is available for Reckless, but now they're collapsing on it. They have
too
the
late.
Feast.
They got
Should
the
have got
Feast.
Shogath as well. Feast gonna hit for 1,200. It's almost not gonna be possible, and it gets picked up. Broxa not in range in time, was briefly at 300, but no collateral damage came through. A quick rush at the Baron happens for Liquid.
And it's just a great way to start it. Keep 3 members mid and then go in just with the tank and a damage dealer and just start getting the Baron low. Once it's low enough, you can then fully commit with your Cho'Gath and actually secure it here. That just makes it impossible for Fnatic to know exactly when it's being started and when they need to move to stop it. So good play here from Team Liquid. Great game.
It has been, very, very textbook stuff here from Liquid. Not a lot of kills, but they're constantly pushing the objectives. They are controlling vision. They are manipulating minion waves to limit the options that Fnatic has. And Fnatic is getting painted into a corner somewhat.
I think Team Liquid, they don't feel a lot of pressure from Fnatic in this specific game.
No.
One thing, of course, is the composition, but another thing is how the level 1 and then Broxa trying to invade. Not just find, he didn't find the blue buff, then he tried one more time, he didn't get that camp either. Simply meant that from the start, Xmithie got a bit of an advantage, and he's kind of been able to just control the river all game long, which is also, of course, why we have 4 Drakes for Team Liquid. And Fnatic are still hoping, just like in some of the EU LCS games, that they can keep stalling the game.
Doublelift, though, sitting at an incredibly strong point in the game, has the triple items, has the double Infernals, has a Zeke's and a Knight's Vow, as well as the Tahm Kench to protect him. And you have to think, all the pieces are falling in place for Team Liquid to win a potential fight, to push forward and secure a victory.
A bit of damage going back and forth. Nice poke comes out, Double with a good shot as well, and doesn't even take damage from Karma in return. As bot lane tier 2 fell to Baron Banner and Impact split pushing. Whippo a wave clear, but it's going to be slow going. Those minions take half damage from turrets.
See Pobelter going back to collect the minion wave, to Baron buff it up, to get it there faster. They really want to get something done on this push, and Impact is going to actually move over towards the mid lane here and try to force.
Ooh, a knock-up. They might knock down Graves. No, walks away. Not going to take too much more. But Curtain Call is on. They're going to block for Caps. He gets out of that circle. And a couple of shots coming through. Not going to land much more out of Double. If another knock-up comes in towards Impact, walks back away with the silence.
They are getting kind of poked out, though, by these ricochets here, and from Caps as well. You can see, Pobelter down to around half HP, which is kind of a scary point for this Malzahar. And Ricochet's constantly removing his spell shield as well. It's a very, very frustrating champion for him to deal with.
Now it's going to be the turret falling to open inhibitor now. Do Fnatic choose to fight for this despite Baron buff and the gold lead still being on Caps box forwards? Hillsong gets on the back line. A huge knock of Fnatic. Get the kill on Pobelter, and now Impact has to run. Broxa on the chase. Graves hoping to send him down. Ole's going to fall. 3 for 0 with a team, but Xmithie and Doublelift on the run.
They want more.
They're going to flash. They're going to get out, but is there a chase for Caps? The big Q. He gets number 4. As Jin answers back for 1. Now has to run for dear life. Fnatic suddenly 5-5 in kills. That was mandatory.
Fnatic, they've been sitting back for 30 minutes. They've been stalling, they've been waiting, and then they get a big, big team fight. Reckless is not even at his 3rd item yet, but they still managed to win it because Hylissang lands the perfect engage.
Yeah, Team Liquid kind of bunching up as they saw Fnatic moving forward, and Hylissang finding a great engage with Pobelter already low on HP. Doesn't even get his ultimate out there to kind of return fire. Fnatic going to buy themselves a lot of time in this game. Knock down a turret, get a bunch of kills. It's a big deal for them.
Had they lost that fight, game over. Team Liquid had it in the back then. They would just been able to finish it, but by Fnatic winning, despite still being down in gold, behind in items, down 2 Infernal Drakes, they actually managed to stay alive for longer. Let's see the engage once again.
And they're trying to funnel out, but look at this. Catching Pobelter was already at half health. He just gets deleted. Whippo flashing in, following to get that kill, and it's full retreat for TL.
And another thing there, Hylissang, after landing knock-up, he then flashed on to Doublelift, still with the charm active, to make sure that Doublelift couldn't deal any damage. And this is, of course, a Jin with like 500-600 AD. So that was super crucial. Towards the end, we got to see some of Doublelift's damage when he just smacked the crit in face of Caps.
And still, this is a 5-dragon team here from Team Liquid. 7,000 or so gold ahead. They are in the advantage, but they need to be able to play patiently. They need to be able to keep pressing the attack as Reckless is on his 3 items plus QSS. He's at a very strong point in the game and has the protection from a death cap Karma here in the mid lane.
And as we reset, Fnatic know they can win a fight if it goes well, and Liquid now have the fear of God in them. Those fights can go very scary.
Another thing that is a little bit worrying here for Fnatic, though, is the amount of armor that's being stacked up by Impact and Smithy. Caps, while he can do a good amount of poke, is not someone who's going to punch through, a Cho'Gath and an Olaf by himself. That comes down to the physical damage. And you see Randuins, you see the pieces of Thornmail, Ninja Tabbies built up on both of those frontliners, which could make it difficult for Broxa and Reckless to really be able to get through.
They find some damage. Double's forced to kite away. Doesn't quite find a big root, but a knock on the front line. Is this the fight they go for? No, it's a backup for Team Liquid as the Sivir ults pop. Reckless reconvenes the team towards the mid lane. That's going to be a turret going down. Will Liquid get themselves the team fight? Now. No knockup towards Whippo just yet. Powelter gets rid of some wards. There's no minion wave for Liquid to push with. Going up mid's not going to help too much just yet. Fnatic can cut the wave.
Triple Ocean helping TL a lot here, but Fnatic looking for the engage.
So again, Whippo in front, but the tanks are equally spaced. So Ruby's going to ult out and yells cowards at everyone else, but re-engage with the team. Minuet's going to be pushed out. Liquid have control of it. It's going to push up the mid lane right now. There's no turret for the inhibitor. Keep in mind, Liquid just going mid is fine. But with the current call on, look for a bit of damage. And Hylissang, Whippo might be cut down, but will not be. A silence is there, but this now gives a chance for Fnatic to grab the wave, and Liquid will not get the inhib.
So Fnatic gets to step back towards the mid lane. Baron is not alive yet, so Team Liquid can't just rush towards it now that they have the control around it. This flash from Hylissang is on cooldown. That's pretty huge because Fnatic need a massive engage onto at least one of the Team Liquid carries, and then all that AoE damage from a Sivir coming in to then try and secure the kill.
We also have to remember that Elder is coming up onto the map, and there's a 5-dragon Team Liquid team. If you grab that Elder, that can be a game-changing thing. That can be a game-deciding thing. There's going to be multiple neutral objectives that are on the field here pretty soon, and we see Team Liquid backing, getting ready for the Baron. Cho'Gath moving back out on that map, fully completed Thornmail. This is going to be a tough nut to crack.
It's an interesting situation because Team Liquid wins either trade. If they take Baron and give away Elder, this Elder is irrelevant for Fnatic. If they take a 5-stack Elder, it's probably better than a Baron buff, to be honest, and sets up Elder number 2, which is a game-winning buff in itself. So Liquid will see if they can find a trade or simply get complete control of one or the other.
And the wave's pushing in the bottom side here, and that's actually a TP Caps just to the mid lane to group up, but someone will have to eventually go and deal with the minion waves on the bottom side, but they're looking to engage.
Can they find the targets there? Looking for a root. They get the front line. The knockup is there. Will it be Graves falling? Down to 1,000 health. Does kite away. Now looking for the next side of this one. A big chunkin'. A quick save. Double gets the kill on a Hylissang. Re-engage. The Smithy is low. 5v4 though. Whippo takes a lot of damage, but Double steps up. And he steps up too far. Whippo gets the kill, but it's a trade in the backline as Impact chomps one down. 4v3, but the health bars and position looks better for Fnatic. A 3v3 as Liquid runs away.
Oh, Smith is still around. Whippo moving in with Caps and Reckless. Team Liquid, they had that fight, but then Doublelift stepped forward in the front line, took a bunch of hits in his face, and ended up dying.
Yeah, it goes down, and it's actually Fnatic going to try to force this Baron, but there's a smite available for Smithy, and I think they're just trying to draw them in and try to turn for this fight, but I don't know if you want to risk this.
7,000 health on Baron. Yeah, there's no way you go for the 50-50.
has flash. This is not a 50-50. This is
90-10. It would be an almost miracle to take it away, so it's only actually time wasted on Fnatic's side.
Impact's TP is ready in 20 seconds when he's alive, but looks like everyone just ends up stepping away. That replay, though, is going to be so huge because Team Liquid had a good start. Actually, they might start it.
They can do this.
Fnatic wasted so much time.
We're going to have to go back to live here, but you can see them on the Baron, and they're starting this up, and we can just ignore the replay. The Baron is what matters here. This could be the game-deciding play. It's Whippo TPing in.
And Brox is very far. 5,000 health with Chomp plus Smite. This shouldn't be an issue for Liquid to secure. Brox is still not in range.
They're waiting for
there in a few seconds, waiting for the Chomp to come in. He gets it in time, and Brox is across the wall, suppressed, and will go down. Liquid grabbed the Baron plus a kill.
That is so well played by Liquid. They're waiting for Impact to complete the TP. They secure with the Chomp, and they can push up mid lane here. It's a 5v4, Baron on the map, and Liquid have the game in their hands.
But this is just turning into a classic LCS game. Super back and forth. Some greedy plays from Fnatic there with 3 members, no Smite, starting that Baron, hoping all of Team Liquid had gone back to base. But that didn't happen. It's only was Fnatic recalling too late.
Yeah, and I mean, it delayed their reset, right? They can't get back out on the map in time, and they end up throwing a Baron away, but they are still incredibly strong. Reckless essentially full build. He just has the Mercurial to complete, but he is sitting on 100% crit. Double lift on 100% crit. These guys are enormously strong.
He brings in impact. They got the slow one to whip with the but they do catch out Karma, and Caps is suppressed after the QSS. Double lift takes him down. The second kill to come through. Baron on 5 versus 3. Nothing should stop Liquid now.
So Team Liquid can push into the base. That Elder Drake is also spawning for them in case Fnatic managed to wave clear and stall the game, but it's just Reckless here with the damage.
And you have to think Liquid is just going to go for the throat. They could potentially end the game here with multiple tanks and only 3 members alive.
Oh, big wave coming in.
Looking for the next opening here. The bottom turret 5 versus 3. What can Reckless do? The LCS MVP could try to secure his team a spot in the semifinals, but the turrets are falling. Forced off the left-hand side, the siege continues a knock-up onto Whippo.
No minions left.
And this turret is falling off. It's gonna die very, very slowly, as you mentioned. The backdoor bonus is gone. 15 seconds on the respawn. They're gonna give up mid.
Just remember that Elder Drake is alive with 5 Drakes on the side of Team Liquid.
And it's so critical. Liquid has the triple ocean. They are regenning up despite the fact they got poked out. They don't have to go back to base. Fnatic need to rush out right now and stop this 5-stack Elder, but they don't have vision.
And Caps is very far away. He's a good 10 seconds behind the team. This Elder will drop rapidly.
They need to
still
start.
on. Whippo gets rid of Unstoppable, jumps right forward. This is going to be the team fight that might decide the game. Whippo suppressed, QSS out, stays alive. Caps to the far right side. Redemption buys some time as Whippo does in fact fall. Impact needs to kite back. Still 2,000 health left on him. Reckless forced to flash away. He can no longer fight. A huge ulti from Hylissang, but it's not enough damage. There's no follow through as Liquid will secure an Elder for free.
Yeah, Reckless had to go out. Caps is not with the team there as he was still down, and Liquid get the kills. They get the 5-stack Elder. They still have Baron for a minute. There is waves pushing in on all sides, and you have to think,
They got it. This is it. They got a massive buff now. They've been winning 2 fights in a row. Double lift at the moment on this Jhin. Is sitting on 840 AD. He will destroy the objectives.
Elder Dragon plus the Baron still on for a few more seconds, and 2 respawns still 15 seconds away. A single turret in the Nexus. Stand between Liquid and staying alive. Reckless pops for the speed, looks for some damage. Reckless not going to be able to join the fight easily as Caps will fall yet again. Suppression is there. You can't outplay point and click spells. A kill comes through and Liquid stays alive.
Such an important game from Team Liquid. They go back to the Jhin. The champion they actually abandoned after day 1, but they win the lane. They play around double F so effectively, and they take down all those outer turrets.
And the Malzahar pick, so critical here for Pobelter. So much of Fnatic's strength in this tournament has been Caps. He is on the Karma. He is on the supportive pick. No advantages to be gained there in the mid lane against Pobelter, who played it more than well enough to neutralize.
And that's just a big, big question mark regarding the game plan from Fnatic coming into this. There were options for Zyra Khan. There were options to get a counter pick mid lane where you could play around Caps and he could be the big carry. They opted away from it. They wanted a Sivir, they wanted to play around the late game, play around Reckless specifically. But the problem is, when you fall that far behind, even if there's still a chance you can come back in the game, one mistake, and you've already lost most of your structures and a couple of Drakes, well then the enemy team just wins. And Team Liquid, despite losing an important fight, Fnatic danced around the Baron with just 3 members.
Yeah.
That cost them even more.
Yeah, staying out of the map post team fight is what Ocean Drake teams get to do, not the ones against that buff. It was a misplay that ended up setting up the events that won Team Liquid the game, but even before then, it was a well-played game from Liquid from the very start.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the late game was critical, but Team Liquid's early game was immaculate. They got the advantage at level 1. They rotate around the map, knocking down all turrets, controlling the mini waves, securing all neutral objectives, grabbing those dragons, and that kind of forces the hand of Fnatic, speeds up the game, and it doesn't give Rex that time.
And man, this just sets up tomorrow so well. Woo! Only one team is knocked out. It's Evos, of course. Only Flashers have currently locked everything as well on their side. Well, actually, they still need to fight for that first place spot. But with Team Liquid, they still need to win at least one more game. And they need Fnatic, of course, to not win both games tomorrow if Team Liquid wants to go to playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Team Liquid fan, you become a very big EVOS fan, a very big Kingzone fan.
You definitely do.
And it's one of those things where if things go to expected, if Fnatic were to beat EVOS, lose the Kingzone, Team Liquid would have to 2-0 just to tie and then get a tiebreaker, which would be another EUNA tiebreaker just like at Worlds.
Why not?
Which Fnatic, I believe, won. Going
They
from the terrible first week to doing really well afterwards, and now it looks like it's Liquid's turn to start 0-4.
Yeah, maybe that's our first week.
And have a 3-1 run afterwards. The Liquid's supposed to, whatever, it's fine.
But Team Liquid play RNG and Flash
Wolves, exactly. Tough schedule, absolutely. But keep in mind, Liquid did beat RNG last time, and Flash Wolves on a losing streak 2 in a row. If it's like the right time to peak in Valley, a 5-5 record for the group stage, not out of the question for Liquid.
Yeah, definitely not. But it's kind of interesting when you look at the records. You say, oh, Flash Wolves is higher in the standings, but I think RNG seems to be kind of pulling it together a lot more. A brilliant day today. They may be the tougher opponent, despite the fact that Liquid beat them once. Can that be repeated if they are as on form as they were today?
Well, we'll see what happens. North American Dream still alive. Of course, Europe still 1 game ahead of them. But for more on that Team Liquid win, let's send it over to Shox with their mid laner.
Thank you very much. I'm here with the notorious POB in the mid lane. Fantastic win for you guys and a 2-0 on the day. About this game specifically, it was a very rough one the first time around. What was your approach going into this one?
I think that just slowly throughout the tournament, we've been getting a better grasp of what the meta is. And then at the start, I think we were just like totally wrong. We were picking some weird champions and having some bad tendencies. But I think especially after the games yesterday, we started to realize what picks might best suit our team. And then on top of that, we kind of were able to shake off the nerves. And yeah, we were just playing with we felt so much pressure. We have to do well. And it's well, crap, we're losing. And then we couldn't focus on our game at all. So we kind of had a pep talk, and we were like, guys, let's just play with no regrets. We've already kind of played terrible already, so there's nothing left to lose. And slowly we're clawing back, and we still have a chance to make it out of groups if the stars align tomorrow. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, fantastic. If the stars align, that means you definitely have to win all your games and then see what happens. But the chance is there, and we know what happened to Fnatic at Worlds last year around. Everything is possible. You have the Flash Wolves and RNG. How can you make sure that what we saw today, the Team Liquid that can go in these games that go close and then turn it around, the Team Liquid that can play control, that plays to their own strengths, how can you make sure that we see that again tomorrow?
I think that both of those teams, actually, we have a good chance of winning against. Flash Wolves looked a little shakier today. They lost both their games, I think. And then RNG was actually the only team we were able to beat in the first half of group stages. So we're just going to prepare really hard, practice really hard like we have been the whole time, and then hopefully put up the same performance that we did today.
Hoping that the stars align. Finally, you beat EU on their home turf. Is there anything you want to say about that result?
It feels good, I guess. I try not to think about that too much in my head. I know it's a really big thing with the fans, but yeah, I mean, it feels good. We evened it up, so we're 1-1 with EU. I'm sure they'll laugh at us still if we don't make it out of groups, but at least we evened up the score with them.
You did, possibly, if the stars align. Maybe there's even an EU any tiebreaker. Who knows? We'll see. But congratulations. Great result on the day 2-0. POB, great stuff. Congratulations, and back over to you guys.